Sunderland being in the third tier of English football wasn't just a modern phenomena, yet they had quickly recovered from their apparent demise by returning to the top flight in 1990. It proved a false start, but under Peter Reid, Sunderland would soon bear witness to a sudden revival.
Away from Dennis Wise, Desage took the wrong option.
Last time out we left you with Sunderland finishing in a playoff spot before losing the final to Swindon Town and still going up to the top flight regardless. With the Premier League around the corner and all the supposed riches that came with it, it appeared a rare break of luck for the Rokerites. That was until the football had to start.
Kevin Wilson reacts smartly to that cross from Gary Cole. Gordon Cowans with a deep cross. Stuart Gray headed across goal. Ian Olney on the spot to guide it past Tony Norman. Southampton are level just before the interval. What a cheeky goal as well. A back heel from Rodney Wallace.
Whilst they didn't face results like the 8-0 against Watford of old, the Sunderland vintage of '91 was certainly not good enough, securing only 34 points and finishing one of just 2 relegation spots. Relegation was confirmed on the final day with a loss against Manchester City, a team managed by Peter Reid and fronted by the goals of Niall Quinn. Watch them become more prevalent as this video carries on. Thankfully, both key signings, Peter Davenport and Kevin Ball, would remain with the club upon their return to the second tier. After a particularly troubling first half of the campaign, Dennis Smith was sacked with the club in and amongst the Division 2 dead men at the turn of the year. Malcolm Crosby was handed the reins on a caretaker basis, but what he did next demanded a full contract.
Minutes later, they scored again. Byrne again involved when they worked the ball into the penalty area. His shot was blocked, and it was Paul Hardyman that scored.
He's covered by Dixie. He's a real awkward player, John Byrne, he's made it 2!
Bracewell could try one from here. He chips the ball across. Oh yes! It's 1-0, Sunderland 1.
Davenport far side, positive run by Rush. This is Atkinson, and this is Ball.
If Liverpool don't win the cup, go down into folklore. Oh, they might win it now!
So if you're keeping score at home, that's 3 trips to Wembley in 3 separate decades. Unfortunately, this FA Cup wasn't won with the club back in the second tier, unlike in '73. The summer meant heady days for the City, as it was now bestowed that honour because the decision was made to move away from the crumbling Roker Park. Not to mention the supposed behemoth that was the Premier League that also began without Sunderland's presence. The trip to Wembley might have blinded some, but as Crosby kept Sunderland in 18th place in the second half of the 91-92 campaign and could only push them up to the mighty heights of 17th in the first half of the subsequent season, it was clear that Bob Murray had to remove him as manager. Terry Butcher was employed to sort out the ailing team, and whilst he was able to sort out the defence initially, the team skirted dangerously close to relegation, finishing a point and a place above the relegated Brentford. This was made even worse by Newcastle's promotion and their subsequent fast start to life in the Premier League. All the while, Terry Butcher left the club in 21st place upon his dismissal in late November '93. His replacement, Mick Buxton, presided over the club's 6th successive defeat, which in turn plopped the club right back into the bottom 3. But a rare slice of good news followed. Equidistant between Buxton's first wins in the job 1-0 triumphs in the league over Portsmouth and Derby, the Weymouth pit closed. In the past, this might have crippled the football club. Now, it was being confirmed that the new ground in a more central location would be used by the club. Murray even began to haggle the capacity up from 30,000 to 42,000 in the planning permission stages. Whilst not the Wembley of the North proportions as desired, the Stadium of Light, as it eventually became known, would open its doors in 1997. On the pitch, things were looking up as well.
The goal by Phil Gray.
For the lead for Sunderland. 1-0. Was a match where the crucial action came from set pieces. Reid could do nothing with the corner.
And an 8-game unbeaten start threatened to carry on the good vibes at Sunderland into the 94-95 campaign. That start to the season, however, only proved the club had a distinct lack of ability to turn draws into wins. This would have been great news pre-1981, but upon a 2-0 loss at Oakwell to Barnsley in March, Sunderland were yet again looking over their shoulder at another potential relegation. So they sent for a man who would change the club's fortunes for good.
So is Martin Gray, and Kevin Ball drives it in.
And goalkeeper Fraser Digby. Martin Smith's shot creeping through to give Sunderland the win.
Peter Reid had been out of work as a football manager for 2 years, but he had proven in little over 6 weeks that he had the capability to drag Sunderland out of the mire. Whilst Manchester City came to resent his direct approach at the start of the 1993-94 season to the Premier League, he had finished them above rivals United in the 5th position in 91, the last time they could boast that fact in 21 years, before replicating 5th in 92. A slip to 9th and an unideal start to the subsequent season had City pulling the trigger, but as he was busy saving Sunderland's campaign, City was spiralling towards Premier League relegation instead of the top half days that they had enjoyed under Reid. As they prepared for a Football League return, Sunderland armed themselves for a potential promotion. Kevin Bracewell returned as player assistant, joining a combative midfield alongside fellow Kevin, Ball. Meanwhile, David Kelly was acquired as the club's first ever £1 million player. However, it would be Craig Russell with a more profitable Sunderland career. He'd get the first goal under the Peter Reid regime, and he grabbed the winner at home to Southend United at the beginning of the 95-96 campaign that prompted this spell of form.
Penalty hoodoo. Scott, no problem at all.
Their approach work deserved. Kevin Ball's shot was only pushed away for Michael Gray to feed David Kelly, and the new striker slotted his second goal in Sunderland colours.
Sunderland, Kubicki trying it himself, pushed out, and it's a goal.
The club had entrenched themselves within the playoff picture behind only Millwall, who they had already beaten and would go on to thrash 6-0 in December, as well as teams like Leicester City and Birmingham City. The Rokerites had to endure a bit of a sticky patch either side of Christmas as Reid divvied on his goalkeeping selection, switching between Alec Chamberlain and the young loanee Shea Given. A drawn trip to Portsmouth in mid-February marked the end of a poor run of just 1 victory from 9 outings, a trend which would be emphatically reversed with the club's best league form since the 1890s.
Now down for Russell, in it first time. Russell, it's a goal for Sunderland. Craig Russell kept on going. Bracewell, Hackney wants it on the far side, looking to get round the back of the defence. Got up well for it. Russell trying to stretch. It's a goal. It's Kevin Ball. You've got the cross in, deflected over there, equaliser, Kevin Ball, the skipper comes up with the goal again.
From 10 points off the top of the pile, Sunderland's 9-1 on the spin had them entering April with a 7-point lead over third place Crystal Palace, with a game in hand and 8 to play. Cheer Up Peter Reid was a song blaring out from the Roker end as Sunderland held it together in the final straight, keeping 6 clean sheets from their last 7 to comfortably claim promotion alongside Derby. And so the 99th and last season to be played at Roker Park would be one carried out in the Premier League. They had to go big, and that included being reunited with Niall Quinn at a record £1.3 million. And he would be supplemented by Alex Rae and Tony Coton. He couldn't have got more unlucky with injuries as Quinn's knee injury ruled him out for the majority of the campaign. Coton's Sunderland career was stopped dead in its tracks by a broken leg, and Alex Rae was also restricted to little over a dozen games. Factor in a documentary crew following the club towards the back end of the campaign, and it was all but a recipe for disaster.
Ferdinand, can he change all that? Beardsley! He has...
Thunderbolt. It was all going from bad to worse.
They went ahead after 7 minutes. Sunderland goalkeeper Lionel Perez couldn't get the ball away with an attempted punch.
Parking left Slaven Bilic unmolested to give them an early lead.
Got Everson to look for. Sol Campbell's in there as well. That's Everson. Anderson waits. Everson! Yes!
Sunderland and documentaries in the background, what could go wrong? As it turns out, after an April defeat to Liverpool, potentially everything, as the Rokerites plummeted from 15th all the way to the relegation zone in one fell swoop. Off the pitch, a floating on the stock exchange was designed to counteract the staggering amount of loans taken out to afford the new stadium, with potential profit used to bolster the transfer budget. Ultimately, all those grandiose ideas would take a hit if the club couldn't turn it around on the pitch.
Now what can he conjure? Williams! Darren Williams for Sunderland! Here comes Stewart, and he scores! What an important piece of calm authority there from Paul Stewart!
Those victories were invaluable to a Sunderland side who were struggling to stay afloat. They proved the difference between going into the final day already relegated and being above the dotted line. Alan Johnston's goal against Everton, a fitting climax to the end of Roker Park. Their goal difference in comparison to their relegation rivals, Southampton above them and Middlesbrough below them, as well as Coventry's innate knack of getting out of these kind of situations, meant that Sunderland weren't home and hose just yet. Nothing but a win at Sellers Park would therefore confirm survival. Anything else, and it would be a twitchy old wait to see if the Stadium of Light's grand opening would be under the big lights of the Premier League.
It's Holcomb for Wimbledon and Jason Ewell, a great chance, and a goal for Wimbledon.
The result was not good enough, but the season could still be salvaged. Middlesbrough, who had already been deducted 3 points for a failure to fulfil a fixture, had gone down with a draw at Elland Road. But that insane football heritage emanating out of Coventry stopped relegation being decided in the back rooms of the Premier League as opposed to out there on the pitch. Coventry's win at White Hart Lane kept them alive for another season. Yet again they had helped relegate Sunderland, although this time a bit more fairly. And who knows, had they not gone down, they might not have been in the market for a certain centre-forward signing from Watford, Kevin Phillips. Together with Niall Quinn, the pair hit it off up front, both scoring on the Stadium of Light's first bow alongside another debutant in record £2.5 million signing, Lee Clark. With Manchester City beaten 3-1, a nice slice of revenge for Peter Reid, and once those inconsistencies had been ironed out in October, Sunderland began their march back up the division.
Johnston, Gray, off the cross in. Oh, Summerby. Summerby's hit it, and he scored. That's 2-0. Pace here, leads the delivery. Phillips.
Back in the playoff picture by Christmas, the now christened Black Cats shook off defeats in January and February to Norwich City and Middlesbrough with yet another elongated undefeated streak as spring arrived. It ultimately proved a disappointment that they couldn't hold out for an automatic spot. Despite holding multiple games in hand over Sunderland, Middlesbrough wouldn't capitalise and supplant their North East rivals for that second automatic berth. That was until the penultimate game of the campaign, when Sunderland went to Ipswich and lost. Sunderland's return of 90 points was a record for a non-promoted club no matter which way you spun it. 3 points for a win, 2 points for a win, points per game. They had clearly shown that they had them Premier passions back. Now they had to go again and beat Sheffield United and whatever awaited at Wembley.
Here's Johnston. And ball. Overcomes the corner again. Goes for Brockis. Now, Phillips is fair. Johnston. Let's get in. Struggling with it. Covered out for Holdsworth. Back in that angle. It's 2-0.
Scorer of 29 goals in the regular season, joint with championship winning Pierre van Hooijdonk, Kevin Phillips grabbed his 30th league goal of the campaign with a decider at the Stadium of Light against the Blades. Sunderland were going to Wembley as favourites against Charlton Athletic. The pair cooked up just about the most dramatic game ever seen underneath the shadows of the Twin Towers.
It's a good turn with Dunker, making count. And here for Phillips. It's there again. Then Dunker. He's done it. He's got space here. Then brings it down. And he scored. The corner comes across. Perez has come a long way for it. Way off for Summerby. Summerby. Oh, what a fantastic goal. Craddock couldn't get to it. And he's done. Key member of the previous promotion team. Can he put it away? Oh, that was a disaster for Michael Gray. And Charlton Athletic go into the Premiership. Here's Dicio, here's Phillips, great goal! Free kick, Summerby, straight through the wall and straight into the back of the net.
It was patently obvious that Sunderland were not about to pass up a second opportunity at Premier League promotion. Amidst a draw-heavy start to the season, the Black Cats' propensity to stick 5 or 7 past their opponents showed the club in its true light, as did only one defeat prior to Christmas. Come the end of the campaign, it was a mere procession, as Kevin Phillips hit another 23 goals, Michael Gray was forgiven for the penalty miss, and the points tally was an earth-shattering 105. At the other end, the acquisition of Thomas Sorensen in net would go rewarded with 29 clean sheets, as the Black Cats even went within a whisker of Wembley again, this time via the League Cup, only to bow out of a two-legged semi-final by a single goal, courtesy of Leicester. They, alongside recent English champions Blackburn in the FA Cup, as well as the recently relegated Barnsley in the league, fellow promoter club Watford and the upwardly mobile playoff challengers Tranmere Rovers were the only sides to beat Sunderland over 90 minutes across nearly 60 matches of the sport that we call football. Sunderland may well have taken 192 points from their previous 88 league games, but would that momentum last when faced with what they were now calling the best league in the world? Obviously, since that was all just PR bluster and top-flight clubs hadn't yet grown out of English football. It didn't matter that Lee Clark was wearing a shirt that read "Sad Mac and Bastards," which necessitated his sale obviously, and the likes of Alan Johnston and Michael Bridges were also jettisoned. There were new signings in Steve Bold and Stefan Schwartz, and a bona fide plan to take the top league by storm. From the game that ended Ruud Gullit's Newcastle United managerial career to holding their own against Arsenal and Leeds whilst dispatching of Leicester, Sunderland's time in the Prem would only get better as 1999 concluded.
Gray again. A service coming from Mickey Gray's side. Oh, and there's Quinn! And there is goal number 4!
Defenders, some of them trying to take advantage. And there's Phillips! Coming down the Quinn! Yes!
It was not fantasy. Sunderland were in a Champions League place on Christmas Day, whilst league leaders Leeds, treble winners Manchester United above them, and Arsenal and Liverpool underneath them probably had a little bit more quality than the Black Cats over the marathon that was the season. You'd have struggled to pick out another team that deserved to be above Sunderland. Then, with 2,000 here, Sunderland failed to win for 2.5 months in the league, teaming defeats against Everton, Wimbledon, Arsenal, Leeds, Coventry and Leicester, with a cup exit and a slide down the table to 8th. Nonetheless, Sunderland returned to form, winning 5 of their last 9 to confirm 7th place. Normally that would be enough for a return to Europe. Here, with Leicester winning the League Cup from 8th, the Black Cats had to just make do with domestic matters. Maybe Sunderland could have strong-armed their way through the FA Cup had Tranmere Rovers not played on with 11 men despite having a man sent off. The authorities didn't seem to notice or want to, as Tranmere eventually went out to Newcastle, a team Sunderland knew they could beat in the quarter-finals. Instead, the Mags lost to eventual winners Chelsea, another team Sunderland had already proven they could beat comprehensively. Either way, it was a miraculous return to the top flight for Sunderland, who, for the half of the season, looked almost odds-on to qualify for Europe. Meanwhile, Kevin Phillips had not only captured the Premier League Golden Boot with his 30 league goals, but the European Golden Shoe. Nonetheless, Peter Reid was out here safeguarding the club's future after the club's highest league finish since 1955. They went big in the market. Don Hutchison, Stanislav Varga, Emerson Tom and Julio Arca represented a splash at near £10 million as the stadium was bolstered to the tune of 7,000 more seats, and it even hosted an England international.
Simple and very effective goal. Good cross, good positioning, but a failure to cut the ball out. It has to be. Here comes Phillips.
Uses run, that's an excellent pass from Ray. Ray hits the cross and Quinn. It's 2-1 Sunderland.
Whilst the opening day win over a phenomenal Arsenal team should be respected, it was another slow start for Reid's side, which lasted into September once again. But once the Black Cats got going again and suffered this time from no post-Christmas hangover, they yet again found themselves encased within the top 4 of the Premier League at the turn of another year. Although this time there was another new sparkly toy in Ipswich Town, who were situated a point and a place ahead of them, Sunderland had done what they struggled to do consistently the prior season, beat the biggest teams of the lot. That was proven with Manchester United's felling in the League Cup, but the charge at a potential first trophy in 28 years was surprisingly halted by lower league Crystal Palace at the quarter-final stage. With a feisty defeat at home to the perpetual champions United at the end of January, Sunderland soon spiralled.
The game which, in their own minds at least, made City's Premiership place safe for next season. The magic 42 points needed to be sure of avoiding relegation.
Space for Kuhl, threat! Unmarked inside the penalty area.
Well, that's a story for another day. For now, have a look at our Tour of Britain playlist, which includes 3 other Sunderland stories.